At hospital corridor, two female doctors are walking after a long shift. Suddenly, paramedics rush in pushing a stretcher. An 8-year-old boy is injured, and his twin brother runs behind crying. One female doctor, Emma, immediately takes charge. ER, now. Inside the ER, she gently treats the wound. The crying twin asks, "Doctor, my brother will be okay?" Emma kneels and smiles. "I promise, he will be okay." She finishes treatment and tells Eliana, her friend, "Call their parents." Moments later, a tall man rushes in. The twins shout, "Dad!" Emma turns. Her heart stops. She whispers to herself, "It's Alex."
Emma watches Alex, comforting his sons, just like she once watched him from a distance. Her mind drifts to college memories. Back in college, Emma would secretly look at Alex, laughing freely with his friends, while her heart quietly chose him. Eliana would tease her, "You've liked him forever. Just tell him already." And that day, Emma finally said after gathering courage, "Tomorrow, I'll confess." But the next morning, as Emma reaches campus happily but still nervous for her confession, whispers filled the campus. Alex left for London last night, and just like that, her confession died before it began. "Thank you, doctor. I'm Alex, the twins' father. How's kid's condition?" His voice pulled her back. After 10 years, he stood in front of her, like she never existed. Emma smiles sadly. Emma took a breath. "Mention not Mr. Alex. I am Dr. Emma." But something felt wrong. "The injury is minor, but your children are scared. They're showing signs of stress." Alex frowned. "Stress? From what?" Emma spoke in serious tone. "Your son kept crying for you in his sleep, and the other twin wouldn't let anyone near him. Kids behave like this when something is not right. I would advise you to take them to counselor. As they are too young for stress, it's better to heal them early." Just then, one of the twins ran to her. "Doctor, my brother is in pain." Emma knelt down softly. "He'll be okay. He just need to take his meal and medicine." Alex watched in silence. His son, who trusts no one, only him, was holding on to her without fear. After sending his kid back to his brother, Alex said, "Maybe you're right, doctor. We should start counseling. I have a request. Can you counsel my kid? They seem comfortable with you." Emma nodded, trying to stay professional, while her heart wasn't. They went to her office to discuss the detail. A few days later, the twins returned for counseling. This time Alex wasn't alone. He brought his lawyer and childhood friend Robert. After a brief introduction, Emma gently took the boys to the playroom, wanting them to feel safe. Before they spoke, first they were quiet, just small hands, playing with toys, still unsure. But slowly, they began to open up. Emma asked about their school, their favorite things, their family. The older one hesitated, then said softly, "We like being with Dada, and Robo-Uncle, and Grandma, Grandpa." He paused. "We also had a mom." Emma smiled gently. "Don't you like school?" The boys looked down. "No one talks to us. They say, our mom left us. That we're unlucky." Emma's heart sank. She spoke carefully. "Do you miss your mom?" And suddenly, both boys froze. Their voices trembled. "No, Mom is bad. She locks us in a dark room. She says she doesn't love us. She'll take us away from Dada." For a moment, Emma couldn't breathe, but she held herself together, hiding the storm inside her. She hugs them, her voice softer than ever. "Hey, it's okay. No one is going to take you away. You're safe." Slowly, the fear in their eyes began to fade. Once they were calm, Emma stepped out of the room. Alex wasn't there, but Robert was. Noticing her expression, he walked up to her. "What happened, doctor?" Emma hesitated, then told him everything. Robert sighed. "There's something you should know. The twins' real mother died during childbirth. After that, Alex was forced into another marriage. At first, everything seemed fine, but that woman only wanted money. She neglected the kids, left them alone, and when Alex found out, he divorced her." Emma listened frozen. "But now," Robert continued, "she wants custody, because most of the property is in the twins' name, and we still don't have enough proof to stop her." Silence filled the corridor. Emma looked back at the playroom, at the two little boys, playing like nothing ever happened, and in that moment, she made a decision. No matter what it takes, she will protect them. But days passed, and the twins kept coming back, every second day, for counseling. But this time, something was different. They were smiling more, speaking freely, no longer afraid of every little sound. Slowly, they were healing, and at the center of that change was Emma. She didn't just treat them, she played with them, told them stories, and gave them something they had lost, a sense of safety. The boys had started to bond with her so much that even at home, they couldn't stop talking about Dr. Auntie. Dr. Auntie plays with us. She tells us stories. And unknowingly, someone else had started noticing her too. Alex. First, it was just small things. The way she handled his children, with patience, with care, not just them, but every child she met. There was something about her, calm, comforting, and slowly, he felt a pull he couldn't explain. Meanwhile, another story was quietly beginning. Eliana and Robert, from simple conversations to shared smiles, they were getting closer, without even realizing it. One afternoon, Eliana couldn't hold back anymore. Maybe this is destiny, Emma. 10 years ago, you lost your chance. But now he's right here. Why not confess this time? Emma just smiled faintly. I'm not thinking about that. Right now. The kids need him. The case matters more. But that evening, everything changed. After finishing her session, Emma stepped out of the playroom and stopped. Alex was standing there, with Robert. In his hand was a photograph in his wallet. His voice was low, but heavy. She made me promise something before she took her last breath. I promised our kids would always have a mother. He sighs heavily. But after everything, I don't know if I can trust anyone again. Emma stood frozen. Emma feels her chest tighten, because in that moment, she realized something she wasn't ready to face. She was falling for a man whose heart was still holding on to someone else. She walks away silently. Later that night, Emma whispers to herself, should I stay away or become a part of their life? Days passed, but Emma wasn't the same anymore. She smiled. She worked. She cared for everyone, but deep inside, she was lost. That evening, those words from Alex, they never left her mind. For the first time in years, she questioned her own feelings. Was she wrong to hope? Eliana said maybe they could work. Maybe she could slowly become part of his life. But Alex, he still couldn't trust anyone. He still loved someone who was no longer there. And Emma realized she wasn't just loving a man, she was loving a heart that was still healing. But then, there were the twins. Their smiles, their laughter, their tiny hands. They didn't feel like someone else's children anymore. They felt like her own. And far away from her thoughts, Alex was fighting his own battle. He didn't understand why he kept getting drawn to Emma. It was a feeling he hadn't felt in years, and that scared him. One evening, Emma called him. She spoke like a doctor, calm, composed. The kids are improving, but they need you more. Take them out. Let them feel the world again. And maybe, for the first time, both of them agreed, without saying what they truly felt. A few days later, a small picnic turned into the happiest day for the twins. They laughed like they owned the world, but fate had other plans. Just a few steps away, Emma stood unaware that her world was about to collide with his. And then, in a single moment, everything changed. A push, a scream, a splash. Without thinking, Emma jumped. And in that moment, it wasn't love. It wasn't fear. It was instinct to save what already felt like her own. And just seconds later, Alex saw it. His world, drowning right in front of him. Without thinking, he ran and jumped into the lake. She was already there, holding both the boys, fighting to keep them safe. Alex reached her, his hands trembling. He took one of the twins into his arms, and together, they fought their way back to the shore. Breathing heavily, soaked, shaken. He held his son close, while helping Emma step out of the water. The twins, still terrified, they clung to them. That day, at the lake, changed everything. The twins were safe, but the truth was still waiting to come out. They sat under a tree and introduced their world to each other. The next day, in Emma's cabin, Robert finally said it. We need your help, Dr. Emma. Will you testify in court for the twins? Alex looked at him shocked, but Emma didn't hesitate. She nodded, because she had seen what no one else had. The courtroom was silent as the case began. On one side was Alex, a father trying to protect his children, and on the other side, Mary, his ex-wife, with a confident smile and a carefully built lie. Her lawyer stood in front of the judge and accused Alex, saying he was careless, irresponsible. He showed pictures of the accident, of the lake incident, twisting the truth, making it look like Alex had failed as a father. And then he said, the children should be with Miss Mary. For a moment, the courtroom went silent. But then, Robert stood up. Your Honor, we would like to call a witness. And that's when Emma stepped forward, not just as a doctor, but as someone who knew the truth. She spoke calmly about the twins' fear, how they flinched at every sound, how they were scared of people. And then, she revealed what they had told her. Robert played the video. 2 small voices filled the courtroom. Mom locks us in a dark room. She says she doesn't love us. She will take us away from Dada. The courtroom fell silent. But Mary snapped. These are lies. They've been manipulated. But this time, she had no control. Emma stepped forward again and asked one simple question. If you care so much, why didn't you visit them even once in the hospital? Why didn't you ask about them? And at the lake? Why didn't you save them? Mary had no answer. And then came the final blow. Robert presented new evidence. A video of the accident. The car didn't lose control. It was intentional. Then the lake incident. A hooded man pushing the twins and running away. Same man, same face. And after investigation, he was identified as Mary's boyfriend. The truth was finally out. But Robert wasn't done yet. He presented one last document, Alex's father's will, stating that most of the property was in the twins' name, and whoever raised them would control everything as power of attorney. And suddenly, everything made sense. This was never about love, never about the children. It was always about money. The courtroom stood in silence. And then, the judge gave the verdict. Mary and her boyfriend, guilty for attempted murder and mental abuse of minors. They were sentenced to imprisonment, and the custody was given to Alex. Finally, it was over. Alex closed his eyes, and in that moment, he didn't feel victory. He felt peace. He turned and pulled Emma into a hug, tight, real, without hesitation. And Emma stood still for a moment. Then slowly, she held on, because somewhere between pain, truth, and healing, after everything, they finally had a reason to smile. To celebrate the victory, Robert and Eliana had an idea. Let's make it special. A dinner, and tomorrow a house party. Alex agreed, because deep down, he wanted to thank them for saving his children, and maybe for changing his life. That night, they all went out together. And for the first time, Ethan and Evan laughed without fear. They smiled, like the world was finally theirs. But then, Robert made an announcement. We're dating. Emma and Alex congratulated them, but the twins looked confused. Robo-uncle, what is dating? Eliana laughed softly. It means, we like each other a lot. And instantly, then we're dating too. Ethan and Evan said proudly, and everyone burst into laughter. Emma smiled and gently explained, that kind of liking comes when you grow up. But then, the twins asked something no one was ready for. Dr. Auntie, are you dating? Silence and awkward laughter filled the table. Eliana teased, she's never dated anyone. And for a moment, Alex looked at Emma differently, like he was finally seeing her. Then came a simple moment, a photograph. But in that picture, they didn't look like strangers. They looked like a family. Later that night, Ethan and Evan looked at the photo and said, Dada, why don't you date Dr. Auntie? And for the first time, Alex didn't ignore the thought, because maybe he felt it too. On the other side, Eliana showed the same photo to Emma. This could be real, if you try. And for the first time, Emma didn't run away from the idea. That night, two hearts made the same decision to try. The next morning, they met, not as strangers, but as two people, ready to be honest. Alex spoke first. I don't understand what this is, but I want to know you. And Emma finally told him the truth. About college, about loving him, silently, for years, and about losing him, before she could even confess. Alex listened, quietly, and then, they both laughed. At fate, at timing, at everything they missed. And finally, he said, let's start fresh. Let's take it slow. Let's know each other. Sometimes, love doesn't come at the right time. But when it does, it finds a way to stay. Days turned into moments, and moments turned into memories. They weren't trying anymore. It just felt right. Ethan, Evan, they didn't see Emma as a doctor anymore. They saw her as home. And one day, they said it. Mama. That one word broke something inside Emma and healed it at the same time. She held them close as tears filled her eyes, because this was everything she never knew she needed. And Alex, he saw it, not just what she did, but who she was, a woman who stayed when she had every reason to walk away. And in that moment, he made his decision. He walked to her, not as a man bound by the past, but as someone ready for the future. Emma, I don't want to rush this, but I don't want to lose this either. What we have, what we're building, I want it with you. And Emma, for the first time in 10 years, didn't hold back. She smiled and said yes. And just when they thought their story had found its ending, it was actually a new beginning. Days passed, and love only grew stronger. Not rushed, not forced, but built with trust, with healing, with time. And then came the day they promised each other forever. Emma and Alex, not just as lovers, but as a family that chose each other. Ethan, Evan, were right there, watching their world finally become complete. 3 years later, laughter filled the home, just like it always should have. But this time, it was fuller, happier, warmer. A little girl, running between them, their daughter, their love, in its purest form. Emma smiled. Alex looked at her, and without saying anything, they both knew this was the life they once thought they'd never have. And now it's complete with them. Twins and their cute little baby sister. Some love stories wait. Not because they're weak, but because they're meant to be perfect.